I'll never forget my first day on the job as a rabbi. Shacharis was called for 6:15 in the morning, and I walked in 1 minute late. The digital atomic clock on the wall read 6:16. When I walked into shul, I was in for the shock of my life. I noticed that most of the elderly members of the congregation were already sitting wrapped up in their talis and tefillin, waiting to start davening. And I remember thinking to myself, what's going on? My name is Yoeli. I grew up Hasidish, and where I come from, 1 minute late is still a half hour early. I quickly put on my talis and tefillin and davened. After davening, I remember a 90-year-old man walked over from the back of the shul, came over to me and introduced himself as Amram Deutsch. He welcomed me to the shul, congratulated me on my new position. And then he said to me, Rabbi, I noticed that you were late this morning. Rabbi, it really hurts me to watch people come late to davening. Please try to be on time tomorrow. I was so ashamed and so embarrassed. I resolved right then and there to come a half hour early the next day. I was determined not to be outdone by a 90-year-old congregant. Little did I know that Reb Amram was the one who opened the shul every morning at 5 o'clock. So by the time I walked in at 5:45, he was already sitting and learning Mishnayos, saying Tehillim, sipping on his cup of coffee. I had no chance. It wasn't until a year later that I finally understood what davening meant to Reb Amram. It was one Shabbos afternoon, and I remember we were discussing his experiences during the Holocaust.
I was lucky enough to leave Auschwitz, winding up in a working camp called Buna, B-U-N-A. I don't ever forget the letters, Arbeit macht frei.
He was forced to share a wooden plank at night with 3 other inmates. To survive the freezing and frigid cold winter nights, they took turns sleeping in the middle so they can warm each other with whatever body heat they had left.
On the right-hand side, and a friend of mine, he says, Amram, I'm going to share a secret with you, but not the other two. Nobody else will know it. I'm going to go under the barrack, there's a pair of tefillin waiting for me. I will go for 2 minutes, make believe I'm going to the bathroom, and you go next. 2 minutes of Shema Yisrael, and up you go.
Rabbi Amram turned to me and he said, Rabbi, for 6 months, until we were transferred to Bergen-Belsen, and we couldn't take the tefillin along, my friend and I woke up every morning, 15 minutes before roll call, and sneaked out of the barrack, crawled underneath. We took turns to put the tefillin on. We each said the Shema, and then we finished davening on the march on our way to work.
We risked our life every morning trying to, at least that much we can do, to say thank to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Shema Yisrael. That was the greatest gift that I had for the first 6 months.
Today, Reb Amram is 94 years old, and he's still opening the shul at 5 o'clock every morning. And yes, he still reprimands me from time to time for coming a minute or two late. But as I watch him wrap his tefillin around the numbers on his arm, I can't help but wonder and even worry, who will teach our children about what sacrifice means? Who will teach them how to stay proud of who they are, where they come from, and what to stand for?
Can any child of today understand what it meant to be a Jew in the old times? But if you really were brought up that you believe there's a Rebbeinu Shalom, even though you saw the tragic, that you lost everybody, but at least you're alive, you have to continue.
Once a year, Hashem tells us, get together as a family, parents, grandparents, or whoever might be connected to the past. Become curious, ask them questions, because before we pull into the busy road of life, we have to look back, check our rearview mirror, and make sure that we get into the right lane.